Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Am I the a-hole for breaking my #1 spicy rule with a handicapped guy? Posted by Throwaway. So, TLDR for the give me the bare bones, I don't have all day to read on the toilet crew. My #1 spicy rule since high school has been no bedroom stuff before the third date. I recently broke that rule with a handicapped guy, and now my childhood best friend is pissed and grossed out because she thinks I have some sort of weird kink. Full story. Me and my childhood best friend, we'll call her Jess, are both 28. To put it simply, I don't think I'm any kind of prude. I just really don't feel comfortable with casual hookups. Never have. My best friend knows this and has teased me lightly about it in the past. She's been in a long-term relationship for the last 3 years, and I've mostly been single while working on my degree and starting my career. Jess lives in a different state with her boyfriend, so we don't hang out that much anymore. So, about a month ago, I went on a first date with a guy I'd been talking to for a while. I thought it was going places, but he gave a weird vibe on the date, so I cut and ran early. On my way home, I stopped at a local pub. Figured I'd have a drink to unwind and people watch until it wore off. Tipsy driving is still drunk driving, IMO. So I get there and it's pretty packed, Friday night and all, and there was no seating room at the bar. I took my drink and looked around. Most of the restaurant side of the pub was someone's birthday party, but there was one small table with a spare seat off to the side with a guy reading a book. So I say F it, I'm a social person, what's the worst that can happen? He says no? So I asked if I could sit there for a bit and promised we didn't have to talk or anything. At this point, I feel like I've effed up because this guy close up is the hottest man I've ever seen. But he just smiled at me and gave an enthusiastic, sure. After a few minutes of me sipping in silence, he says, I don't mind talking if you want to. Yeah, I want to. Are you kidding me right now? We talked for a bit and it turns out that Mike, fake name obviously, is 29, just finished his master's degree in some kind of computer learning field. I program computers to program computers, and he's living on his own for the first time. He apparently stops by the pub after work because he's right around the corner, and he's not used to the silence yet after living for so long with half a dozen siblings. We talked for a good 2 hours about everything from dating, which he said he's basically given up on, to hobbies and tastes. And we have a near total eclipse on a Venn diagram on this stuff. I eventually sort of blurted out the I don't know why he's given up on dating. This is the closest thing to a good day I've had in forever. Shooting my shot here, lol. He gets an odd kind of look in his face and says, tell you what, I have to go to the bathroom, but when I come back, I'll ask you out for real. Weird, but okay. Then it all clicks because he doesn't get up to walk away. He just rolls in his wheelchair. And I'm thinking, oh my god, he wanted to give me a chance to back out of this without making it awkward. How cute can this guy be? He grinned like crazy when he got back and saw that I was still there. And I basically tripped over myself saying something like, so I'm free all weekend, what did you have in mind? Another hour later, and we've got plans for Saturday. He told me he has a neuromuscular disorder I can't remember the name of. My degree isn't in STEM, lol. So his legs work, but the signals from his brain get misinterpreted, so he doesn't have the balance or coordination for walking or standing. The pub starts switching over to a younger, rowdier crowd, and he asked if I'd like to go back to his place for a coffee and to continue our conversation. As you've probably realised, I did not get any coffee or conversation until the next morning, and I have zero regrets. We've been dating since, and I know it's still early, but I really feel like this might be the one. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon. My friend Jess, remember Jess, is in town and we go out for coffee to catch up on things. I'm gushing about Mike, but when I got to how we met, she sort of just got weird and edgy. I don't remember the exact words, but she essentially said that I must have some sort of kink for handicapped people, since I broke my #1 rule and it's the best physical relationship I've ever been in. Like, it's good for me because he's in a wheelchair, not because the guy puts in effort in the bedroom. She said that I've changed as a person and left without even saying goodbye. 15 years of friendship and I've never seen her like that. So here I am, asking the most objective people online if I'm the a-hole or just weird for being super attracted to a guy who uses a wheelchair and basically putting out immediately. Update. So if you're hoping for some terrible drama, I hate to break it to you, but I don't roll like that. No pun intended. Okay, so I finally messaged Jess yesterday and basically said, I'm still hurt by what you said, but after 15 years of friendship, I'd never forgive myself if I didn't at least ask why he snapped at me like that. She immediately replied and said, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean any of that. Can we have a do over lunch? So I agreed cautiously and took half a day to meet with her today. Turns out, those of you who said she was jealous and that she might have something else going on, and especially the person who said she might have something going on in her relationship, gold stars. She's in town because she's job hunting, because she's moving back in with her parents for a while, since her relationship ended. Apparently they've been having a ton of small problems that keep adding up, but the biggest one? Intimacy. Her ex was apparently never great, but it's gotten to the point where he makes no effort at all for her to enjoy herself, and then gets annoyed that she's not in the mood. She tried talking with him about it, making suggestions, but he told her that it's emasculating to be given not safe for work advice by a woman. What a shock that he's bad at it then! The straw that broke the camel's back, however, was that her boyfriend has always had a thing for Asian women. She's Caucasian, but she does have long black hair. After weeks of fighting over their intimate life, he suggested that they spice things up by her dressing in a kimono and pretending to be Asian. So, the bedroom is struggling because she's not enjoying herself, and he wants to spice things up by using his kink? She lost it on him, and is absolutely disgusted by the racist fetishism, and ended it right there. So, she had all of this bottled up, and was hoping to talk to me, and finally be able to pour it all out. And I missed every hint that she had something big to discuss, because I was too busy gushing about Mike. So to her, it felt like I was just twisting the knife by bragging about how great our bedroom life was. She snapped, and somewhere between what I was saying and what she wanted to talk about, the wires got crossed, and she said something incredibly dumb. She left without saying goodbye because she was mortified and ashamed, as well as being irrationally mad at me. Something to know about Jess, she's an awful liar, and she and I were the co-founders of our high school's Foot and Mouth Society, so I do believe her. I told her I forgive her, and I'm sorry I didn't realize she wanted to talk about something bothering her. She said I was too stupidly nice and have nothing to apologize for, so I think we'll be okay. For the time being, I'm not ready for her and Mike to meet because I don't want to make things feel worse, and she agrees, but she's really happy for me. Hopefully, this is just some funny story we can look back on someday. So, there's a lot of really long updates, no new information, but super cute. Basically, all about how good OP and Mike are together, and how his family's accepted her as their own. It's nice to have a wholesome story in AmItheAsshole for once. Wholesome stories are rare on this subreddit, so I had to include it. AmItheAsshole for making height jokes at my friend until he snapped and cried. Post by FreshDirt4848. I, 22 female, have this close friend, Nick, 28 male, and he's really short, like 5'2". We've been friends for a while, and we get along great. I also kind of have a crush on him. He's really sweet, handsome, talented, and fun to hang with. I've always been the type of person to joke around with people. My family and friends constantly tease each other, and it's never meant to hurt anyone. It's just how we show affection. For example, I'm tall for a woman, 5'10", and super skinny. And growing up, my parents used to make jokes about it all the time. So what, you basically have the body of a model? Guys actually get judged and rejected for being short all the time. It's really not the same thing. My parents would call me beanpole, say things like, careful with those low ceilings, or put some coins in your pocket when you go out, it's really windy. And when I was younger, I'd cry because the jokes really hurt. My parents would then tease me and call me a crybaby, which made me toughen up over time. Now I'm used to it, and the height jokes just roll off me. My friends still poke fun at me, calling me Slender Man as a nickname, or saying they could perform a skeleton anatomy lesson on me, and I always laugh along. Since Nick is the shortest person in our group, I've made a lot of height-related jokes around him. Stuff like calling him fun-sized, asking if he needed help reaching something, or saying, "Where did Nick go?" "Aw, there you are, way down there." He usually laughed and joked back, so I thought it was fine. For example, he'd tease me by saying, "How's the weather up there?" And I'd respond by picking him up and saying, "I'll show you." It felt playful and harmless, and I figured if he wasn't okay with it, he wouldn't joke with me too, or he wouldn't laugh. So the other day, we were at a semi-formal event and Nick showed up in a really nice suit. He looked sharp, and honestly, he looked mad fine. And I might have been a little flustered by how good he looked. So naturally, I couldn't resist cracking a joke. I saw him and said, "Looking good, boss baby." Everyone burst out laughing, and Nick laughed too, at first. But then I noticed his expression change, and he got really quiet. A little while later, he just walked off without saying anything. I went to check on him, and that's when I found him sitting alone, crying. I was completely caught off guard. I asked him what was wrong, and he finally admitted that the height jokes had been bothering him for a long time, and the boss baby one had sent him over the edge. He said he's always felt insecure about his height, but didn't want to bring it up because he didn't want to seem overly sensitive or kill the vibe. I felt awful. I apologized right away and stopped making any jokes about his height after that. I never meant to hurt him, and I always thought we were just having fun, maybe even flirting a little. Now things between us are weird and awkward, and I don't know if I've completely ruined the friendship or any chance for something more. So, am I the a-hole for making those jokes and not realizing how much they hurt him? If I'm the a-hole, which I probably am, what should I do to make it up to him? I really like him a lot. Well, whether you intended it or not, you did hurt his feelings. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that you didn't realize that mocking a short guy for his height would hurt his feelings. But it seems like you genuinely didn't know it was hurtful and apologized as soon as you realized, so I'm not sure if you're really the a-hole, more like a clueless idiot. Update. Y'all, I called him to see if he was home because I wanted to talk, and when he said yes, I quickly showed up with flowers. It was a short walk. We lived just a few blocks away from each other. I apologized again, explaining that I didn't mean to hurt him. I promised to never make jokes about his height again, and handed him the flowers. He looked super happy, and told me that no one had ever bought him flowers before. We hugged, and it felt so good. He invited me in, and after a bit of talking, I finally told him how much I liked him. Nick seemed beyond shocked. He said the jokes had made him think that I was disgusted with him or something, which only made him feel worse because he had feelings for me as well. Everything's okay now. I even got a kiss. Aw, that's such a sweet end to the story. As a kid, it's not always easy to recognize when your parents are being toxic, but hopefully this will open OP's eyes to how all their cruel jokes hurt her as a kid, and how now she's basically doing the same thing. What her family was doing wasn't just friendly banter, it's just bullying. If you like this video, please let me know, and subscribe for more juicy tea.